Friends, I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And this week we start reading a new book, the second book of the Torah, Shemot, known in English as Exodus. And in this Torah portion of Shemot, we get introduced to Moshe Rabbeinu, to the greatest leader of the Jewish people, the greatest person who ever lived. And Moshe's first encounter with God was centered around a burning bush. Moshe was tending to his great flock of sheep, sees a bush that was burning. It was at a distance, but he noticed that the bush was burning but not being consumed. Not like the wildfires that are happening now, that in moments the entire houses, unfortunately, and estates and forests are being consumed, but this is burning and not being consumed. And this is where Moshe has his first encounter with God. And I want to point out, it's very interesting. Moshe himself had another very important encounter, not long before then, at the well, by the water, where he met his wife Tzipporah, and he helped them, and eventually that's how he ended up marrying Tzipporah. Not known to many people is that the staff that Moshe used, which goes back to Adam, was planted in the backyard of Yisro, and only Moshe was able to pull it out. That's how he knew it belonged to him. And he performed many of the miracles that God had asked him to do, including the plagues against Pharaoh and those for the Jews in the desert, using that staff. So Moshe experiences God through fire, experiences a very important pivotal moment in his life in water. We find by our forefathers that they also, things happen around the well of water, the marriage of Isaac and Rivka, the marriage of Yaakov and Leah, and Rachel. What is it, the significance of a water or fire? So actually I grew up with a Hasidic song that neither water or fire, meaning neither the hardships, the challenges that water bring, floods, other types of challenges we may face in trying to live as a Jew, and fire, meaning no matter what extreme that we may meet, we will still be committed to Hashem and we will live as a Jew. But water and fire also represents something else. Water represents the flow of God's gifts to us, like Torah. God gifted to us His wisdom. He gave us the Torah as a gift. He said, open this up. You want to know who I am? Open up the Torah. You'll see how I think. You see how I make things happen. You'll learn a lot about me through the Torah. And just like water in this world flows from the top to the bottom, the same water that was at the top comes down to the bottom. It doesn't change in any way. It doesn't lose anything. So too Torah. Torah is God embodying Himself here in this world for us. Fire is the opposite. Fire by nature goes upwards. Fire represents how a Jew has to approach the relationship to God. Our relationship has to be consumed with a passion. It has to be one that we are driven to constantly try to lift ourselves higher and higher closer to Hashem. This is the representation of fire. And every one of us has a fire burning inside of us. Our soul is on fire. We are told in the Torah that we're a candle. We're not just a quiet candle. We're a constantly burning candle, a fire that's burning and always ready to jump and get even bigger. And these are the two most important elements we have to remember in life. God is always reaching out to us. We meet at the water place. That's where God comes to us and gives us a gift that we can never reach on our own. The opportunity to see God in a certain way, to feel God in a certain way. But the way to ready ourselves, that moment when we engage in Torah, that it captures us. And then we see God's miracles, it lifts us up and it takes us to a new place, is when we first bring our own fire. God comes to Moshe the first moment and says, Moshe, you want to know what I'm about, what the Jewish people are about in our relationship? It's fire. It's a fire that burns and doesn't consume. It doesn't just burn up and it's gone. It's a constant fire that you have to have within yourself. On the altar, there was a fire that was there all the time, 24 hours a day, and we're told that when you have that fire, like the altar has, that all the negativity, all of the things that could bring you down get negated and burnt up. But it lifts you up to more positive and higher and greater things. So in our life, we should always have that fire. But we should always have that calm relationship with God, knowing that God is always here with us and for us. When you know that God is always has your back and God is always with you, never abandons you, it brings you a calmness. So from God's point of view, we're calm. But from our point of view, we want to get higher and higher to feel God in our life more and more, to be able to steer our life with that fire of God that allows us to impact every part of our life in the positive way, and everyone around us, our family, our friends, our colleagues, our business environments, and wherever else we touch. So I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom. God bless you. We love you all. Candlelighting time in Montreal, 4:22 p.m.